Welcome to this deep dive lesson. Today, we're breaking down the philosophical foundations of international relations to help you absolutely ace your exam. Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to cover the core debate that really split the field, then tackle the huge problem of defining what science even is. After that, we'll get into the hidden assumptions you absolutely have to know. And finally, we'll look at a practical skill you can use immediately. So first up, let's get into the foundational conflict in how we study global politics. This right here is the central question. It's what fueled the famous great debates in international relations. And believe me, the answer changes everything. This whole debate basically pitted two camps against each other. On one side, you had the traditional approach, led by thinkers like Hedley Bull. They valued judgment, intuition, and a deep, intimate understanding of history. But on the other side, the scientific approach came in, demanding hard evidence, empirical proof, logical theories, and verifiable facts. And you had incredibly influential people like Hans Morgenthau arguing that trying to view the messy human world of politics as a science was just a fundamental category mistake. It just didn't fit. Now, here's the crucial point. This historical debate never really went away. It just evolved. It shaped the entire landscape of IR, creating the modern focus we see today on quantitative versus qualitative methods. So, let's move on to the next key concept for your exam, which is the massive problem this whole debate created. This is what we call the demarcation problem. It's the challenge of drawing a really clear line between what actually counts as scientific work and what doesn't. Karl Popper proposed a now famous solution, falsification. He said for a theory to be truly scientific, there has to be a way to test it and potentially prove it wrong. Researchers should be trying to shoot down their own ideas. But then Thomas Kuhn came along with a different view. He argued that science works within these accepted frameworks or paradigms. And he said that different paradigms can be incommensurable, meaning they just don't have common standards to judge each other by. And what's so interesting here is the core disagreement. You see, Popper saw science as this one universal process of falsification, of getting closer to the truth. But Kuhn saw it as these distinct communities, almost like islands operating with completely different, sometimes untranslatable assumptions. And this leads us to the underlying assumptions that every single researcher makes, whether they even realize it or not. We call these philosophical wagers. Think of them as the foundational bets a scholar makes about reality and knowledge before their research even gets started. So, the first big wager is all about your relationship to the world you study. Dualism, the positivist view, assumes you can be a separate, objective observer. Monism, on the other hand, says that's impossible. You're inherently part of the reality you're researching. The second wager is all about what you consider valid knowledge. Is it only what you can directly observe and measure? Or can you also generate real knowledge about things you can't see, like underlying power dynamics? Okay, let's connect all this theory to a practical skill you're going to need for your own work, the literature review. You see, a high-quality literature review is so much more than a summary. It's a tool that helps you understand an entire field, helps you avoid just repeating what's already been said, and lets you situate your own contribution effectively. This slide gives you a brilliant path forward. To write a really effective review, you just need to follow these key steps. A great place to start is by analyzing existing reviews to understand what the best practices actually look like. Now, before we recap, remember that you can find a complete summary of all this material plus practice exam questions over at gradeguru.nl. It's a great way to solidify your understanding. Okay, let's quickly go over the most important points from this entire lesson. Remember these four key things. First, the core debate between science and tradition. Second, the demarcation problem and the key thinkers who tried to solve it. Third, the concept of philosophical wagers. And fourth, the practical purpose of a really good literature review. So, as you continue your studies, I want you to think about this. Which of these fundamental assumptions are shaping how you interpret the world?